Hello, my name is Lorenzo Cassina, and I'm attending a master in Business Intelligence and Analytics at the University of Westminster. This is my presentation about the use of big data in the media entertainment sector and the Netflix case study. In this presentation, I will quickly introduce the topic, then I will talk about Netflix big data application, deepening the two most relevant ones. Then I will talk about the technologies employed and the big data infrastructure. Then I will only mention something about the data governance, and I will finish with benefits, return on investment, and conclusions. Netflix was founded in 1997, started out as a mail order subscription DVD company. So basically at the beginning, it was a blockbuster minor competitor. And according to Forbes, Netflix strength wasn't putting DVDs in the mail, rather it was the company use of predictive analytics. Netflix software engineers had developed successful algorithm that drove customer away from Blockbuster towards its many books or titles. And even if they were lesser known, over the years, online streaming has replaced mail order logistics, and data analytics has played a key role in every step of the business. When it comes to gathering data, Netflix can count on its 204 million subscribers, and this gives it a massive advantage to Netflix. And Netflix uses big data for calibrating the recommendation system algorithm. And in fact, an estimated 80% of content streamed on Netflix is influenced by this recommendation system. Netflix also use big data for understand what type of content to invest and produce in the future. Because Netflix is continue to grow rapidly by leveraging big data to find out exactly what the user wants, and he tries to give it to them. And you also use big data for video quality. Netflix use, in fact, big data to optimize the quality and stability of its video streams. And he also uses big data for the ISP speed index, which is a measure of performance on a particular internet service provider around the globe. Talking about the recommendation system criteria, the goal of Netflix is to give each user exactly what they want. And the question is what the user wants according to Netflix. The user want contents to be popular, but at the same time compatible with their personal interests. To succeed, Netflix come up with some analysis in order to understand why the user has paused or stopped watching the content. They didn't have time to watch the movie, or they didn't like it. Because even if Netflix spent a lot of money in the production of a good movie, they still don't want to get bored anybody. Then there are other two ranking systems. One is based on how we rate other contents, and the other one, it's an algorithm that is also a content affinity algorithm that recommends content similar to what user has just watched. All of these measures ensure that the content experience it's unique for each user. The second most important application of big data is the investment in content for the future. Ted Sarandos, which is Netflix chief content officer, during an interview said that Netflix relies on its rich subscriber data to make editorial decisions. And what does it mean? It means that thanks to big data, with a good analysis, they can understand what kind of scenes and what kind of movie, what type of content people like. An amazing example of how Netflix collected data on its user is Black Mirror. Black Mirror is an interactive show that allows audiences to choose what action they wanted the character to do at a certain point in one episode, for example. And every choice made by viewers was, of course, recorded by Netflix. And this gave the company an insight into how the minds of its viewers worked. Another thing that Ted Sarandos says during an interview is that Netflix model focuses on those users who are more engaged and loyal, and trying to understand and identifies which scenes the user will like. House of Cards, it's another example of a series built with big data analysis. At this point, the question is, what type of data are used and what sort of analysis is carried out? So it's like Coca-Cola. So the recipe is secret, but the ingredients are declared. And the ingredients are date and time content was watched, device use, the user location, the nature of the content, the search done, the scenes they got through watched, the content paused and resumes, the content watched to the end, the time taken to finish the series, and but also metadata from third parties and media data from Facebook and Twitter. Another question is, what technologies does Netflix use to collect, process, and analyze data? Certainly, Netflix technological ecosystem is constantly changing for improvements, but data is generally divided into parts. On one end, we have data at rest, and for this, Netflix use Hive, Amazon RDS, Snowflake, Cassandra, Elasticsearch, Dynamite, Druid, S3, etc. On the other hand, we have data in motion, and for those, Netflix use Keystone, Mantis, Flink, Spark, Kafka, Presto, etc. Then it also uses Atlas metrics. And so this one was a Netflix ecosystem. Netflix also used to have a data center, but from 2008 to 2016, they switched to AWS and S3 in order to improve productivity and scalability. They also structure microservers to obtain more agility and innovate faster. The report analyzes the most important topics regarding GDPR, but I will only present some principles about the data protection. So we have a purpose limitation, that it's something related to excessive data collection that can make more difficult for businesses to locate and use data. Accuracy, that deals with the challenging to update data stored on different sources. Storage limitation, that deals with the data controllers that may keep historical data longer than required as the capacity increases and the cost of storage is falling. In data minimization, data are automatically processed by algorithms to reduce complexity. And lawfulness, fairness, and transparency deals with difficulties to be transparent about the processing of personal data due to the automation such as machine learning. Social ethical issues. Then we have also data-centric tools that deals with anonymization and pseudonymization. But the problem with the latter one is that by crossing the data, people could trace and find the original initial identity. This is a graph showing the return on investment trend as a percentage. And if you look at it, you can see two relative maximums. And the first one corresponds to a period around 2011, and the second one to 2014. Then from 2016 onwards, there is a slow but constant growth. This is not a coincidence that these relative peaks coincide with the relative periods on the most successful TV series of this decade, such as Game of Thrones, House of Cards, Breaking Bad, and so on. It is interesting and important to compare the previous graph with this one, which show the total invested capital in billions, of course. And considering that the overall investment has increased exponentially, it can therefore be considered normal that the return on investment has decreased compared to the first year, when the investment figure were relatively low. By the way, Netflix has been performing well, and its net profit is growing 6 times from around $0.6 billion in 2017 to $4.2 billion in 2020. However, from another point of view, the company has been burning cash, with the free cash flow falling from minus $2 billion in 2017 to minus $3.3 billion in 2019. So the main reason, the main difference between these two numbers is explained by how Netflix accounts for its content investment. What it does is to amortizing only a portion of its content each year on each income statement. In fact, Netflix says that about 90% of the value of a show is expenses within 4 years of its debut. To conclude, big data has revolutionized media entertainment sector and also our life, as they prove to be very useful in decision-making and support for companies and people. The only constraint that could hinder the benefits of using big data concern the ethics of using them in respect of privacy. It will be interesting to see the evolution of these matters in the coming decades. To conclude, we cannot say that the merit of this achievement comes only from big data, but for sure they indicate a clear and safe direction to follow. I hope you enjoy my presentation. Thank you. Bye.